Scales and chords are deeply connected once you understand the similarity between them and see how they are constructed. You may find that as guitarists we often practice scales, chords and triads separately, treating them as unconnected topics. And this may lead us in the wrong direction and result in unmusical habits. But what if we learned to connect scale practice with triad practice, so that we can effortlessly transition from playing a scale to playing a triad? This way we can break out of monotonous playing patterns. And what if there is an exercise that can show you the connection between both worlds? Wouldn't it be worth it to give it a try? This video is about such an exercise. The first step is that you need to be able to play a scale, and there are basically just two ways you can play a scale on the guitar: horizontally or vertically. For this exercise we are going to play a scale horizontally, and for that matter let's take the C major or A minor scale, because it's very likely that you are already familiar with the note names here. So the note names are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, no sharps or flat are needed, but of course you can adapt this exercise to almost every scale you can think of. To play through the scale on a single string comfortably, it's very important to use a pattern with which you can shift from one position to another easily. Let's take this pattern here because it's very comfortable to play and you can easily switch to triads later. Once you can play this pattern well, you have set the very foundation to actually see where a scale to chord connection is possible. I explain how in a minute. Therefore, I suggest that you practice this pattern on all 6 strings, so that you don't struggle with finding the right notes. Make sure you spend some time on this foundation, because once we start connecting some triads to the scale patterns, it can quickly become overwhelming if you don't have a solid foundation. Right now, let's move on to step 2. In order to connect a scale to a triad, you have to be able to see where you can actually do this. In this step, I'll show you how you can learn to recognize possible triads within a scale. Take a look at our pattern. What you are playing here is basically a 3-note pattern, but for our purpose we just need to focus on the top and bottom notes of the 3-note pattern. In other words, just ignore the note in between. Here's the reason for this. The notes on the outside of the 3-note pattern form an interval of a third, either a minor third or a major third. And this can be the basis of a triad, because a triad consists of 2 stacked thirds. A major triad is a major third and a minor third, and a minor triad is a minor third and a major third. So every time you play a 3-note pattern like this, you are already playing a half triad, and this gives us the opportunity to play 2 related triads by switching to a 3-note pattern where we can play a minor or a major arpeggio. Let's go through an example here together to illustrate exactly how it's done. Let's start on the 8th fret on the high E string with the index finger and the pinky finger on the 12th fret on the high E string as well. So you are playing the notes C and E, which is a major third. Now you need to ask the question, which triad consists of the third C and E? In the key of C major there are just 2 triads that share these notes, namely the C major triad and the A minor triad. So every time you play the C and E with this pattern, you can effortlessly switch to the C major triad and the A minor triad like this. C major and A minor are relatives because both triads share the same interval of a major third C and E. This concept will get much clearer as we go through it together on one string from top to bottom. So let's do this together in step 3. Let's start on the open E string. Here we're gonna play E and G. Now we need to find out which triads share this interval of the minor third E and G. So let's take a look at all triads in the key of C major. Now, E and G are in the E minor and the C major triad. Therefore, we switch from this pattern to E minor and C major like this. In the next step, we move one step up and now we play the next pattern, which is F and A. A quick look at the thirds and we see that it's the F major and D minor triad. We move one position up and the next pattern is G and B. Here the triads are G major and E minor. In the next step the notes are A and C and the triads are A minor and F major. Next B and D. Here the triads are B diminished and G major. Next C and E. Here the triads are C major and A minor. Next D and F. And the triads are D minor and B diminished. The next step is the very same pattern as our first one because we've now hit the octave, so the notes are E and G and the triads are E minor and C major. If you've never practiced triads before, then this exercise might be overwhelming, I know. But please, don't let this hinder you learning this extremely effective exercise. I suggest that you practice both exercises, the one-string pattern and the triads, separately, so that you can prevent being overwhelmed by combining both exercises in one single step. So let me quickly show you how you can practice the triads that you need for this exercise. Just play the relative triads like this. You start on E minor, then C major, next is F major, and D minor. Then you move a step up and play G major and E minor. And shift to the next position, and here it's the A minor and F major. Next is B diminished and G major. Next, C major and A minor. Next, D minor, B diminished. Next, E minor and C major. Next, F major, D minor. And so on and so on. So here I play all triads without any interruption. You can do this exercise on different strings, but make sure that you do this exercise at least on 4 strings from the high E string to the D string, because you can divide the entire fretboard into 4 sets of strings on which you can play triads very comfortably. On the E, B and G string, on the B, G and D string, on the G, D and A string, and on the D, A and E string. Once you can play this exercise effortlessly, it's always a good idea to transpose this exercise into a different key, because then you will see that a completely different view on the fretboard will open up and you will level up your playing by using this exercise. If you need tabs for this exercise, you can go over to my blog, the link is in the description. And in the next video I will show you how you can expand this exercise with big arpeggios over 5 to 6 strings. So stay tuned, have fun, and I see you in the next video.